Right. Welcome everyone, and hello. We will be slowly starting, so we'll wait a minute or two for people to start coming in, and then we will kick things off. I messed something up. No, I didn't. Okay.
Just
Okay.
there is not enough people, but it's all right. We don't need thousands.
Yeah, we will people slowly start flowing
This is
in.
just for the elite, MJ. This is just
Yes.
the elite. Okay, so only the
Plus,
elite.
I noticed a lot of people actually watch the videos on YouTube. So yeah, it seems like not many people attend live, but quite a few actually
I'm the
rewatches
man.
them later,
It's my
which is
experience as
fairly
well.
normal. It's Friday, 4:30 p.m., you know.
Let's have
Okay,
a pint, mate.
I will
Okay.
do, yes, exactly. I'll do the intro now then, and we can uh we can start things off. Let me do this. Okay. I assume my screen is visible. So welcome everyone who's tuning in live or to the recording. My name is MJ. I'm the co-founder of ZenABM. And with me is Stefan Repin, who is going to walk you through some really cool stuff about reactivating your frozen deals. I know some of you mentioned on Slack that you have deals waiting and sitting idle for 12 months. So that one is going to be for you. Before we kick things off, a couple of housekeeping informations. One, all of the recordings will be available, including this one, by the end of the day. Two, I'll put all the links, slides, Stefan's LinkedIn profile, and everything else in our Notion Resource Center, so we will be able to find it there. And please ask your questions on chat or through the Q&A, and we will take them as they come. And with that being said, 5 words about ZenABM, super quick, and I'm giving the floor to Stefan. So what is ZenABM? It's a platform for running ABM campaigns on LinkedIn. We give you a deep insight into company level data, job title level data, campaigns, campaign groups, with intent, with account scoring, with entire customer journey and deal attribution, so you understand how your ads actually affected the deals you're opening and closing. We have entire analytics suite out of the box with pipeline and revenue attribution, all of your effectiveness metrics with our AI chat Zena sitting on top of it with access to all of your data, being able to take all of your hard questions you get from your managers and peers, like what are the best performing campaigns in terms of revenue and how they affect the pipeline and so on and so forth. So give it a try. Code Bootcamp 10% off on all plans till the end of the bootcamp. So 2 weeks left only. And without further ado, I will shut up now and give the floor to you, Stefan, to introduce yourself and walk us through some knowledge.
Hey guys, nice to meet you, everyone who's online or not online or drinking a pint of beer watching this. By the way, fun fact, if you're using Dream Data or we're planning to use Dream Data, they've upped their prices and now they're high tier, 30K a year, not less. So ZenABM is a really good replacement for those who were trying to use Dream Data or are planning on using Dream Data or Hockey Stack. This is a really good tool if you guys are mid-tier or just starting with ABM. So please do try it. Okay, cool. Without further ado, I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna show you what the hell is account revival and how have I made account revivals with my experience so far. So just to give you an overview of who I am. So my name is Stefan. I'm an account-based marketing specialist. Been doing account-based for probably around 10 years now. And I specialized on reactivating frozen pipeline. And I have a tiered approach here for those who think that ABM has to be expensive and reviving can be only expensive. It has to be only ads. Good news is that actually you can do it way cheaper waste, and obviously it's way more interesting to revive leads than you might have thought. So let's jump straight into it. If you have questions, give me the questions right away. I'm seeing something in the chat. Oh, okay. And then I'll start with my presentation. Okay. So, first of all, okay. So you have several symptoms here about your frozen pipeline. So when you see a deal stalling, you're talking to your sales, and you see that they're like, they're saying, "Oh, this lead is ignoring me. This lead is not answering on LinkedIn. I don't have any feedback from them." When a buyer goes dark, although there was a first demo enthusiasm, guys, we're gonna break the market. We're gonna, drive everyone nuts. You've obviously heard this before. um there is like generic check-in. Hey, you send them a message. Hey, how you doing? Hey, have you guys revised the deck? Hey guys, what do you think about pricing? It's kind of annoying, but this is a symptom of a pipeline problem. Also engagement metrics. So the way how I structure ABM is that I'm really looking close to engagement metrics in terms of, is there engagement from the account? Are we actually talking to those people in the account? So let's say I'm working with a client in banking. So you might have around 20 to 25 people in the decision making committee, which means that you at any point in time have to talk to a lot of people all the time, right? Include them. Is that engagement increasing or decreasing? That's a big factor. A business impact. So you have momentum, which is lost in some critical deals or quarters, right? So um, next one would be, there is a forecast. So obviously you have a pipeline and you have a forecast that you're going to close, let's say 35% of that pipeline. If your CAC, if your cost of acquisition is stranded in some of these accounts, let's say 60% of your pipeline is frozen. That's a big thing because again, your acquisition budget is not enormous. You're spending money there and it's not working. Sales team morale drains from ghosting. I'm a consultant. I have a teeny tiny agency as well, and then also helping clients with sales. Sales teams are very, very prone to getting frustrated from ghosting. So if leads don't ghost them, they're like, "Oh, what do I do?" So that's kind of annoying. And here we're going to talk about the root causes of that. So the misaligned value proposition to their current pains, it happens very often that salespeople jump into conclusions very, very fast. And those conclusions are like, oh, this is what they need, without having a very good discovery call. They jump into offering a solution, which very often is not a solution. There is timing. If you've given me $1 every time I hear like, oh, please come back in 3 weeks, please come back in 5 weeks, please, we're not ready yet. And very often it happens without timelines. So people tell you come later, but they don't tell you when to come back later. And internal priority shifts, maybe they decide to do that thing in-house, or they decided to do it with another vendor. That's a very important thing. Internal champion energy. So your internal champion has to be, always on very heightened spirits, like as if you've given your champion some cocaine, like. So that champion needs to be very enthusiastic about your solution, whatever you're, selling. um and probably the last one would be here: the buyers feel sold and not helped. So now consultative sales are, like a strategy that everyone more or less is using. And people they don't want to be sold, but they love to buy. I'd like to buy a hat, but I don't want to be sold a hat, right? um in this case. And there is one more root cause. I was recently consulting a company, and there was an interesting case. They told me, I was like, why are you guys losing? Why did you guys lose this deal? And he said they were pampering a client for 6 months, so 6 months of visits, yada 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 events, and then they lost the basically the deal to a much bigger opponent, like let's say $1 billion company. And I asked, why'd you guys lose? He said, well, they're in the same building. So they're literally in the same building with the other with your account. So don't that's like that. I like to call that unorthodox or like, let's say, untraditional decision criteria. You have to really research your accounts before you go all into them. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Again, the cost of dormant accounts. So there is direct financial loss. There is sunk cost of acquisition. You've put some money, obviously, into acquiring them, and that's not there. There is no. So next one would be opportunity cost. So there is no new net customers, right? Um, that's again lost money there. There is a problem with brand equity and brand decay. Nowadays, we see that with the new geo, with the new SEO strategy, you see that brand visibility is basically everything. So your brand equity is something that matters a lot. If you don't have brand visibility, basically you do not exist nowadays in on let's say on Google AI overviews or even like on ChatGPT, right? Forecast health. So pipeline bloat is like when you have like a ton of accounts, but you don't know what's their situation in the account, and at some point the account says, well, um, let's say somebody from a particular account you're targeting, they say, well, we're not interested, and you're waiting for that answer for like month, right? So you don't know what's happening there. That's and you have a bunch of these accounts, you don't know what's happening, you need to unfreeze them, right? That's another cost here. Next slide. So we have a tiered approach to reactivation. So the first one is let's so I'm thinking about ABM in terms of like tiers, like what can our money buy us for different tiers. So you have, I'll start with tier number 3, which is, it's a bit blurred. It's 50K and more. So if your deal is ACV is 50K and more, then obviously the sky is the limit. You can do high touch plays like private dinners, Formula One experiences in Italy, in Monza, or executive sponsorships. You can even like hire a balloon in the sky and drive it all around the place where their office is. But again, money can buy a lot, but not everything. So there is another tier 2, which is around 10 to, let's say, 50K in ACV, annual value. Let's call it that way. You can do some strategic gifting, handwritten notes, custom reports, maybe some maybe some more personalized gifts. That gives you some freedom. And then we have tier 1, which is accounts where you have, which is probably, in my experience, maybe half of the market well, half of the companies that I touch are actually like tier 1. They have an ACV of roughly 10,000 a year, and it's like when your product is $800 a month, or maybe 900. What else can you do that's not, what that doesn't sound like financial powerlifting, right? So in that case, you need something with low cost but with a high perceived value, like the research so let's say a custom research co-creation, podcast invites, webinar panels, and everything that involves LinkedIn and posting articles, newsletters, and so on. Let's go to the next slide. So I'm gonna show you a few low cost moves that I've also tried that would work with any tier, but they're the most fit for the big majority of companies I've touched, which are, like lower ACV. So the first one is like sharing an industry pattern or trend you're seeing across your peer group or any other group. So like it basically changes the dynamic from I want to sell you and there is something you should know about this particular thing. So how does it work? So let's say you want to do an education about a certain pattern you see in banks, and banks are, for example, adapting the AI agents, for example. Yeah. And then you publish a LinkedIn post by analyzing this trend. And it could be a post, or it's better if it's an article, and then you can tag in people who think will benefit from this. And this is a sort of like, public prospecting, you can call it. And you don't make any asks. You simply tag people. How would you track this? Like success signals, profile views. That could be profile views from target account. That could be actually messages from the target account. That could be before this exercise, I usually send a connection request to the accounts that I'm interested in. And that could be a successful even connection request when they reach out, and at least you have the connection there. Or the request for the full breakdown. You usually publish a shorter version of it on LinkedIn or Substack, and you have a longer version somewhere hosted. That's another thing you can do. Low cost move number 2. So there is a community event invitation. So when I worked with pharma, what is it? Inviting dormant accounts to exclusive peer-led roundtables and micro webinars. This is super helpful nowadays because there is a lot of AI slop. AI slop, in fact, was probably the Oxford's, according to Oxford, the most used keyword or word last year. So I think it's going to continue this year, right?
Yeah.
According to this, because everything looks like the same AI slop, people are pushing more into physical events, physical meetings, seeing other people, and let the AI agent drink beer and handshake between them. It was a joke. But what I'm seeing is that with physical events, or maybe some sort of a closed knowledge that others do not have, you can reopen dormant accounts. So I have an example where we had a list of accounts. So I was working with pharma. There was a particular account, Dr. Reddy's, that we were targeting, and we couldn't really get through. So what we realized is that we need a different strategy. So there was a consultant at that time who was working with us, and we asked the consultant to organize a peer meeting between us, Dr. Reddy's, and a few other companies a few consultants. There were a few pharma companies, and it was like peer sharing group where we sort of complained, like a support pharma group, you can call it, where we mapped, and then we cried, and we sort of complained about our problems we see in pharma, and we came up with a solution. Let's call it pharma brainstorming. It really worked. We connected to the company. We connected to the decision makers. It was freaking amazing. We loved it, and I think Dr. Redis, they also loved it. And that helped us with reactivating that account. So success signals, obviously, if they answer, that's a good sign. If they ignore, that's a bad sign. Probably they're not that interested, or they didn't get through. You got to dig deeper. What's important here, after the event, you come up with some to-dos. So obviously, it took you some effort to organize it. Always follow up after the event. Always follow up after the event. It's super important. Next one, low cost move number 3. So here we're looking at a tangible asset. Could be a mini playbook, an analysis, audit, market research. It could be like branded specifically with your brand, or maybe like their brand, depending on how risky you want to go. So what do? You do a market research based on the insights from, let's say, the market, or whatever you're seeing at the moment. Again, creativity is here. Use your creativity here. The sky is the limit. How would this practically work? Let's say you do a market research with 5 to 10 people in your industry, and it's best if you have people from the target account coming as research participants. If you have some competitors who are head to head with them, that's also great, because you sort of like activate them with usually companies, when they see competitors, they're like, oh, these guys are there and I'm not there. So sort of like a little ego play. So next step would be you create a small Loom video, you send it over, say, hey guys, I saw probably you're solving something similar. Send them the Loom video again. If you have their email, great. If you don't, again, you can find their email through like IC Leads or Full Enrich, or there's like a ton of ways to do that. Send them a LinkedIn connection request, and again, personalize it. What would help? What kind of criteria? Again, success criteria. The fact that the fact that they view the video, your long video, obviously that's good. Any kind of answer, that's good. That shows engagement. maybe a reply where they're asking about, hey, do you have any more insights and so on. Any kind of interest is good, right? Let's move to low cost move number 4, executive insight shares. And this is like a short point of view, a particular personal point of view from an executive about a specific challenge, which you can send to executive counterpart. I have a funny story here. Um, the I had a friend who was working at a big, let's say, financial institution, and they were approached by and the guy has a pretty big well, he has people who work under him. He has a good job, and I think he is chief for some sort of a region. And then he started getting approaches from different VPs from McKinsey, and they were quite young, and they're, I would say, young, 20 something. And the guy is sort of like my age, and I'm in my 30s, and he would feel it's like really weird. And obviously, if you get an invite from a VP, you'll be like, oh, vice president, that's pretty cool. That person has to share something with me. And the fact that he got, and eventually he got pitched by these VPs who he found out later that they were just like business development people. He found out later that VP is specifically made a title at McKinsey to for junior people to be able to reach out to hire individuals, because people perceive it VP, vice president, but it was something else. This is a trick you also can use. Again, I wouldn't use it with very big let's say clients, because that would sound like offending. But again, once you can try. So what is this thing? Basically, there is a point. Obviously, chief marketing officers or chief sales officers or anyone, they would talk on the same level. So a chief CEO would not talk to someone who is not at least the same level of of understanding of in terms of a position, right? In that case, a unique point of view about the market and how they're going to grow would help you a lot. So use your CEO or your chief, anyone who's a C-level executive, and his point of view, her point of view to actually close an engagement. For example, in the company that I've worked with successfully, they had a special email and a special LinkedIn profile for, well, not email, that they used for that they used as being the CEO to get their point across to other CEOs. That was a dupe email that their marketing team was using, but it was really efficient because the CEO is busy, doesn't have time. With this, you can actually leverage it really easy. So let's talk about a success sign-on. So if there is a direct reply from a senior stakeholder, if his or her deputy comes back to you, that's also a good sign. Usually they might not come directly, but they might be looking for some engagement. If, for example, you send them a, let's say, podcast invite, and they've right away answered that, yes, let's do it, that's great as well. Anything that sounds like engagement, we're interested, or any kind of answer, even negative answer, is an answer. Let's go to move number 5. Peer proof and social validation. So what is it? When we see cases, when usually I personally see cases of like how like a marketer has done it, or what was done, a great case study. There is a lot of people who will join and say, hey, I want to see that. You guys probably see on LinkedIn, there's a herd of people saying, like, making these LinkedIn posts and writing something, and then, hey, write asshole. And then when you write asshole, everyone's going to comment, right? Asshole, asshole, asshole. And you will get access to some documents, or sort of like how they did it. The problem on LinkedIn, though, is that I'm seeing this tactic being devaluated because like there is a lot of slop. So people, whenever they give away something, it's usually slop that is not working. So just a beautiful sheet that cannot be used in practice. So be aware. If you do something really, really good, that, for example, you've been working with, let's say, you've been working with manufacturing companies, and manufacturing, let's say, automotive companies, you have a unique example, sort of like a case study, right? Like where you outline how great this is, what we're doing is, what kind of results have we gotten, how unique the case is that we have created. In that case, you deconstruct the whole sequence, like step by step, and the how to post, of course, talk to your client, discretion advice. That will help you. Peers listen to peers. So whenever you have something that sounds like secret information that other peers would want to know, believe me, this will be taken as secret information. So you can re-spark an engagement with your account by using secret information that you have from other accounts. Success signals. If someone is particularly interested in how did they do X, how did they do Y, internal shares of the case study. You maybe you see a mention on someone on LinkedIn, or maybe your champion tells you, "Hey, people share it on Slack." That's a great sign. Maybe meeting requests. Again, it kind of sounds obvious, but like any kind of request saying that, "Hey, let's talk," or any kind of messaging after that would mean that you're moving forward. Also, website visits, and if they're visiting your website after that, it's also super positive. Next one. Okay, so that's the last one. All right. What is this? So we're talking about multi-sequences. So we always want to orchestrate it between different mediums. So I'm personally a little bit sick of online. When I see another online whatever, I'm like, oh geez, not an online meeting or online whatever. Like grab time in my calendar. So I want something physical. So what does it mean? It means that whenever you're doing something with an account, try to multi-thread it. So it should be at least email and oh sorry, it should be at least email and LinkedIn. So do not do anything. If it's just LinkedIn, very easy to ignore. If it's email, very easy to ignore. Together they have a bit of more power. Don't do that. Don't rely just on one medium. First, second, if you're I haven't mentioned here, but cold calling. It's a sort of a old but good tactic. It works. It interestingly works pretty well in Europe. Although Europeans are, they'll stay on the fence about cold calling. My experience says that cold calling actually works if you're kind enough and then you do an intro. Actually works. In the US, it works much worse because everyone's cold calling. People have, they have chutzpah or balls, and then they do a lot of cold calling. In Europe, it works really well. Latin America, in my experience, personal experience, pretty well. Asia, so I would say, depending on the region. So you always think how you're going to localize. Gifting, again, most companies, I would say 99% of companies, they have a strategy around gifting. You cannot send gifts more expensive than XYZ amount of money. But things like flowers, things like postcards, you can send those. You can send those without any problem. And I hear this question very often, like, what if the people are remote? Yeah, send it to the headquarters then in that case, and then mention that person who you need to reach. Once in a while, these people anyway, they go to the headquarters, or worst case scenario, they're gonna get mail, and the person who's working in the head office, they'll tell him that, hey, you got mail, and then that's still attention counts. Working 10 or let's say in around 1 or 2 week patterns, because that's enough to form a habit or form some kind of visibility for your brand with these patterns. So let's say if on day one you send a comment, on day three you do endorse, on day comment, and then not day three. If it's 10 days, then again in 10 days, then in again maybe another 2 weeks you do an email asset in another 2 weeks you send them You send them a gift card because it's the 8th of March, and you wanna and you're talking to a lady and you wanna remind her that.
There is a question we have coming that is there a platform in Europe? Because in US apparently it's well known that it's good for sending gifts, as given there are like different countries in European Union that you can recommend.
Oof. So probably in America you're talking about Sendozo.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the European Union, that's a good question. I'm actually working with a company who wants to take Sendoza's place in Europe, but I'm not sure that they're not ready yet. Um, there is no the bad news is there is no such company who will do it everything everywhere that I know personally of. The 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 good news though is that I think you can do it individually per company. It's going to cost you way cheaper than doing it with Sendoza. Sendoza has a 20 to 30 markup on all the stuff they sell. And again, sometimes it's just ridiculous how expensive things are, especially if you want to do maybe 20 or 30 accounts. Let's say 8th of March is coming pretty soon. You want to send flowers to 30 accounts in 5 or 6 countries. Much cheaper to do it. Let's say find a local vendor in that country and then order that, and then they'll do everything for you. Then going through Sendoza. Okay, is
Mm,
this answer good enough for the person?
I think so.
Let's hope. Okay, cool. Um, Multi-channel sequences, anything that shows engagement from no signal to signal or engagement, even negative engagement or negative answer is an answer. Believe me, you don't want to see that sunk cost of acquisition. Um, that's good news actually. So anything that shows engagement is great. Let's move on. Um, So there is a signal activated. So there is a solution which I'm using. It's called Mably AI. I'm gonna show you a little bit of. I'm gonna explain you a little bit here, and then I'm gonna share my screen and show you the solution, how it looks inside. What does Mably AI do? You obviously heard guys about like signals and what they mean, and if you don't know what's the difference between signals and intent, these are two different things. Okay. So what does Mably AI do? It helps you with automated signal detection, and it works in two instances. It checks the news about the company. It checks, let's say, movement. Somebody got promoted to a certain position. That's a signal for you to probably congratulate that person and maybe get her talking about the new challenges he or she is going to have. Um, Usually in my experience a podcast invite is very timely because that's when they have a new responsibility, a new role, and they have new stuff that they need to work on. Probably again, what else? You might think about funding rounds, anything like that. That also all can work as a signal for you. Now I'm going to show you this solution Mably AI. They're in the pilot version. They have pilot version right now. When you reach out to if you consider reaching out to them, they'll okay. So now they'll take anyone probably with minimum pay or no pay. So if you're on that wagon and you need to reactivate accounts, do jump on it. Say that you saw this webinar on ZenABM. You know Stefan, Adam, who's a buddy of mine. He'll get you an account in no time. Okay, so you can eventually become a design partner. I'm gonna show you my screen. I'm gonna show you. Wait, give me a sec. Uh, I'm gonna show you how it looks inside. So this is Mably, and then you have the last updates about the company, and you have the ICP group. So you have obviously different groups of segments in your ABM flow, and then you have the signal name. Closed, raised 5 million, again, raised 5 new role, for example, launch new product. All of these can be taken as signals. Next, the good part about Mably is that it works not only with uh, signals such as like company-wide signals, but it works with individual LinkedIn posts. So if they're hiring more people and somebody is sharing that, it will also come up here. Or if the particular person you're targeting if there is a signal about that person, then you can set it up. Then it's gonna also pop up, which is incredible good news because usually signals are only like on account level, not on the person level. Now with Mably, this is solved. Um, so then you have you basically connect this to some sort of content that you have. Maybe you want to send them a content or like a letter, or maybe like do a playbook around reactivating accounts, and then you want to send them like, let's say, case study. It's up to you how do you do that. Um, how this well, again how this works. Um, Very easy. You connect it to your HubSpot. Salesforce is coming soon. Please do ask Adam if he has any other CRMs. I think he can fix something for you. Um, you fix it with your CRM, you fix it with your with the people you want to track, the signals, and then you're gonna get an automatic notification once there is a signal. And if you run it by a certain playbook, you're gonna have the playbook there, and then it's gonna write all the emails, all the sequence for you. All you have to do is review and then do a send button. It's pretty automated, pretty cool. Works with AI agents as well. Um, strongly very good when you have like a ton of accounts who are like low ACV. Um, okay, cool. I hope this is if you have any questions, let me know. I'll move on to the presentation because we have more ground to cover. Okay, we've spoken about signal activated growth, the automation. Okay, the framework basically, you have tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Depends on how much care do you want to give. If it's a tier 1 account, you'll give them the maximum account. Oh, wait. So it depends on if it's a low ACV, then you're obviously you're gonna give them you're gonna sub tier as well. You're gonna have a ACV like people who are companies who are maybe worth 10K for you, others who are worth 5K. Obviously, you're gonna prioritize those. But the good news with Mably is that everyone is equal. It's gonna find signals for everyone, no matter the tier. Yet you need to sort of like make the playbooks so the company that needs activation because let's say they went with a competitor is different than the signal which comes from a company who said tomorrow, not today, right? Who they just postponed the sale. Okay, let's go on. Okay, a scalable. Okay, so in terms of ACV, like I'm gonna focus a little bit more on low ACV. So there is eventually a few things, three things that you can do with accounts with lower ACV. So there is one. We spoke about Mably today. You can do Mably, right? There is number two. There's research or content co-creation. So when you do market research or content research, let's say you bring in, let's say, a roundup of 3, 4, 5, 10 companies, and it's obviously a cheaper way to engage the potential customer or re-engage them. Next one would be a podcast invitation. This is more of an ego play. If they don't, I've seen examples when but people or companies do not react to your podcast. In that case, what I've done once was that we got a person who is a well-known podcaster. We paid him like a small amount of money, it was $500 at that moment, and that person has created a podcast specifically for the three of us, me, my account, and that person. We're all of three of us on the call, and we did like sort of like a small hot table, and we reignited the relationship. It helped. Webinar participation, webinars, you can do a roundup or you can do one-on-one webinar with your account. Again, this is a cheap way to reignite the missing love. Next, I'm not going to focus here too much on the research playbook. It's again an ego-friendly thing. Again, it goes around content co-creation, quite efficient. It's if you want, you can deep dive in it later. There is certain steps you can do before and after. The importance of this is that in different regions is you have different participation. So some companies, some let's say businesses and locations. To give you an example, let's say banking in Spain does not answer really well to research playbooks, for example. But let's say manufacturing in Germany answers really well to research playbooks. Again, it matters a lot who does the research. If let's say you have a partner who has a higher knowledge and awareness in the market, you can use them and their name to do your research. Again, talking about brands here. Podcast and webinar tactics. Not gonna stop here. You can do a ton here with content-led engagement, and this is opening doors. Big. Make sure that you localize this as well. So we're talking about strategic gifts, handwritten cards, custom content. This works really well. You have to be careful because different some markets, let's say, are very conservative, so they need to look into like how you're going to reactivate them. Thoughtful gifting, strategic gifting. You can check all of this in the presentation later on. I want to go more. Into this is VIP treatment executive. I want more into case studies that I've done. Again, private dinners, premium experiences. Just one thing. For example, you have, let's say, 30 accounts that you need to reactivate. You invite them to an event such as like Formula One, or let's say to a football game or to a basketball game, right? All of these are places where you can invite a big group of people, and then at the same time your BDMs, business development managers, and mingle with all of these people. A cigar club would be another example of an event like that. It's really great because you can engage and then understand what's going on in the account, but they're also expensive. So depends. Okay, sponsorships and personal gifts. Stay careful with personal gifts. They might be taken as execution here. Channel mix by tier. Other channels you can do, in depending on your ACV. I want to go to my case study here. Come on. Okay. So we had this. I did this last year in 2025. 2024, 2025. So we had 6 accounts. So we had 6 accounts that we wanted to reactivate. The ACV was around anywhere from, it was mid-tier ACV, mid-tier high ACV overall. They were all non-responsive. We reactivated all of them, and we closed out of 6 accounts. We closed 2. I think now they closed even the third one. There were negotiations. They were stalled for more than 90 days as well. What did we do? First of all, the accounts were in different regions. They were in Latin America, United States, Germany. When you look at these accounts, you need to look into their, the local culture, and you need to look into, like, for example, a blunt message about work or about strategy and business would be taken as an offense in Latin America. And on the other side, something which is very, very nonchalant, very, let's say, unobvious, non-formal, in Germany, you send something like that in Germany will be taken as an offense. So choose your tactics wisely. What we did in Latin America, we had 2 accounts in Latin America. We reevaluated them. Important thing, when you do an account prioritization and you basically put these accounts into play, you want to look at several things, and these several things are these. Look at how much value does the account have for you. What's the likeliness of closing them? Like value in terms of money. Going back, what's the likeliness of closing them? Look at what was the relationship before and after, and look at the region. Like how long is the sales cycle usually with that type of accounts, that type of countries or localizations. So with Latin America, we made 2 packages for that particular account. We we did wine. We ordered an Argentinian wine and we shipped it to those particular two companies. The strategic message was this: mi familia, tu familia were two different families, but we're all a family together. Cultural values for us mean a lot. Maybe you're going through hard times, but we want to reconnect. We use that. We closed one account right away in Latin America thanks to this tactic, and that was great. In the United States, we thought about more. You cannot be that blunt in the United States. You have to be a little bit more strategic. So we had some tailored gift packages related to those people we wanted to target that were not. They were not really. It was not an expensive gift. Under $100, but it basically meant something to the people that we were targeting, and it meant for them something that our partnership is something that we want to move on, and that we want to take care sort of like of each other. um we didn't close those two accounts. We didn't revive those two. We spoke with them, but we didn't close those accounts at that moment in time. But it did work in Germany on the other side. We had well, basically we didn't send any gifts in Germany, but we reignited our strategic. We sort of like we sent them a message in Germany, where we sort of like reignited our strategic partnership with them, and then we came in with like case studies and peers. So like our partners who were in that country, we got a new partner. They helped us actually reignite the relationship, and through them we reached out back to them because they were ghosting us, and we actually closed one account in Germany. Um, Pardon me, I think there was my mistake. There was one more case in Asia. We had a big account. We had one big account in Asia, which we also opened up and we closed them. For them, the problem was that we couldn't get them in the same place. We were about to sign the contract that's been going on for half a year. We couldn't sign. So what we did is that we made a cake with they had like a team picture somewhere. We made a cake with a team picture. We put it on the cake. We sent the cake to the headquarters, and we said you can eat this cake, and only when you're all together at lunch at the same time. And they finally gathered up, and obviously the name of the company came up, and then they signed it. They signed the contract. So that was a good move. Okay, now I don't have much time left, around 10 minutes. I'm going to move on with the last tactic that I've been testing, and it works really well. It's called the account love letter. So what the hell is this? So when you have an account that you want to go after, depending on what market you're in, you could be like in finance or automotive, which is kind of like a little bit more strict. In that case, you have to be a little more strict and then reignite the strategic initiative that you had with the account, and but you still show the value of the partnership. Or you could be more like me, where let's say you're going after, let's say, I would say although cybersecurity is considered very strict, I would say cybersecurity is more or less very laid back in terms of account love letters, because they are, first of all, I would say most of them are like developers or people with a good sense of humor, so they take humor very well. So if you do something humorous around why, okay, so the main idea around this is why me? Like why are we like why do we love this account? Why do we want to work together? And I'll show you a great example. So I was targeting this company. It's called Buyers Dev, and I've worked with a lot of development houses in the past. And I don't know if you can see my example here, my screen, but this is it. So what I did personally, I researched this company, and they were hiring a lot of people, ABM specialists in Latin America. And by knowing, like, I researched their account a little bit, I realized that, look, these guys are hiring ABM specialists. Like, they were hiring like maybe 10 ABM specialists in Latin America. But I researched in their account, and I haven't seen any of the C-level execs have very good ABM knowledge. So when you hire 10 people in Latin America, you want to have at least someone who's done ABM before. And then I reached out. I was like, okay, so this is cool. It means that maybe they lack some ABM knowledge in house, and then they're trying to hire these people who are going to tell them like what to do. But this is not going to be enough. You need strategic understanding of how to go after those markets, besides tactical understanding from the people you hire. And then they created this love letter for buyers dev. So it exists in several ways. This is a bit hyperbolized again, guys. Um, well, this is like a case I've done for them because I know the industry pretty well. They made my research and I've built an ABM. What would I do if I were building an accelerating ABM at buyers dev right now? Here's what I would do, and this is what this is a plan that I've put together. And then basically I made a post about this. I tagged their decision makers, and the good news is that their chief operations officer reached out to me. It was last week, and he said, "Oh, look, we got the attention. We understand what you're doing. It's great. This is the email of our chief marketing officer. Let's reconnect. Let's talk." And I was like, "Oh wow, this is great. This is really working." So now I'm in talks with their chief marketing officer. Okay. What else we have here? How to tier accounts quickly. Again, think about intent signals. Signals are very important. Engagement history, strategic fit. Is the ICP score? How good of an ICP are they for you? Potential deal size, like value again. Decision rules. Start with the lowest tiers, with the lowest hanging fruits, because that will help you a lot in calculating those costs. You don't want to spend thousands of dollars on an account that will never come alive. Escalate tier only when Intel signals appear. So a signal is a strong movement for you, which means that you can connect the signal with some sort of like narrative that you want to go through. As an example, would be the 14th of the Valentine's Day, Lover's Day, 14th of February. It's a perfect example for me, at least, to do an account love letter, because again, you can connect love to their account. Somehow you come with the right narrative, and these account love letters, they don't necessarily need a lot of space. Like resources, you can do an email and let's say an article on LinkedIn and a website, and then you tag people from the account, and here's it. Prioritize closed last. So closed last, obviously, there is a way to revive these accounts, and I strongly condemn you to do that, because I think that will work. So focus on the lowest hanging fruits first, and downgrade the importance of the company, or downgrade them in priority if they do not answer still. What else we have here? Let me see. Ownership. Yeah. So reactivation is a sort of like a flow in between marketing and sales. Make sure that you have a field manager or someone who's doing ABM talk to sales very often. Involve your BDMs or whoever is in sales in a more let's say junior role, but also update the strategy with your C-level executives, because there is a high chance you will need their help in getting on with the deals, maybe an outreach or maybe a connection message, something like that. Map out how are you going to get to those particular people, through invitations, through maybe a third party, through a partner. That's very important when you reignite, but also when you go for the first time within an account. Okay, budget execution pitfalls. If you pitch too soon, that's a no. Don't do that. Copy paste personalization. It's okay to have templates, but still you need to personalize the particular thing that makes the account or that person special. We people feel when somebody is not honest with us or not authentic, right? Irrelevant gifting. don't send people branded mugs, or don't send people like, like notebooks or something like that with your branding on it. It's useless. Again, think about, what's going to move the relationship forward. Be more strategic about that. um don't spend a big budget on tier 2, tier 3 companies, because that's going to be just a waste. Okay, that's it. So that's a wrap, guys and girls. You can start some six low. So I've explained everything around, like how to revive ABM deals, what to do about it. And oh wait, I'm mistaken. There is one more thing which I want to show you. Which is this. So when I track the velocity of the accounts, I wanna obviously see, hey, is there engagement going on, or how do I do this? There is a sheet that I'm using. It's pretty simple. I'm tracking how many days you have on stage. Like, it's pretty easy, but it helps me track a lot of the leading indicators, a lot of KPIs in terms of engagement dynamics between account being a no signal, no engagement account, and account being like opportunity, let's say open opportunity, or when like we want the opportunity again. I'm not gonna talk too much because I'm gonna leave some time for Q&A, but I'm gonna share with you guys, if you want, the sheet after. It should be in use between marketing and sales. That's it. Thank you very much. Questions, please come.
Thank you, Stefan. Well, okay, so the sheet will be shared.
Yeah, I can give you a link now in
Okay. No, we'll put it in the resource center. So there is only one question right now, which kind of like goes back to what you spoke about before, as in like the sequencing of the like nudges. Is there like a tool that kind of like stays on top of this, as in like sending an email, and if they don't respond, maybe sending something through LinkedIn, and if they don't respond, maybe doing something else? Like, do you use what tool do you use essentially to stay on top of this?
Good question. No, there is no tool. Unfortunately, no tool. Maybe it's a bit good idea to build such a tool. Problem is that you have to gather signals from a lot of places, from your
Mm.
CRM, from your salespeople's WhatsApp messages. I don't know. Um, I don't know if it makes sense at this point, but I think if you build something like that, I'll use it gladly. So.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. I don't see any other questions, but we will put Stefan's contact info in the recording, so it's below on YouTube right now, or in the resource center for you guys. So if you have any questions, or you're looking to help with like proper ABM reactivations, Stefan is your guy. So reach out to him, and maybe you'll find a way to work together. And
Amazing. It was a pleasure,
thank
guys.
thank you for everyone tuning in, and thank you, Stefan, for sharing.